my beautiful friend Ravneet from Winds of Reflection. Thank you for joining me today on my channel, 3 Degrees of Love Divination. So, Atlanta. And today we were thinking about doing a hashtag. Well, we've been thinking about this for a bit. And then as we've been doing that, um, and I, and then I, came up with the questions and stuff like that. Um, we figured we would call this tag today a tarot revolution. And so hashtag a tarot revolution. And of course, I'll have it on the screen so that you see the hashtag and so that people can respond. So of course, this would technically be my second time for doing a tarot tag. However, I think the first time that I attempted it, I didn't have prompts. So I wasn't because I was still sort of new and finding my footing in the tarot community, in the tarot world, and because I don't really do hashtags, that hasn't really been my thing. I just wasn't, I guess, down with the lingo or how you do it or whatever, right? So it was what it was. And that was shadow work, you say. And I was showing like decks of like all the shadow work decks that I would consider shadow work, and if I had sets and books and things like that. But this is a little bit different today because as we've been talking about the shifts like globally, spiritually, that we've either been feeling ourselves, that we have been noticing with all the things that have been going on in society. As we were thinking about how we individually process them when it comes to these things, and some of the decks and how when we're working through things, how they've made us feel and stuff like that. We were just like, well, so what are the decks that we feel that really sort of reflect, what is going on? Because I know that a lot of the time, when it comes to healing work, when it comes to, processing trauma and things like that, we tend to want to run away from our shadow. We want to bury things. But the thing is, what we realize is that that is the wrong way, or a very sort of incomplete way, if you will, of doing things. And especially because no matter where you go in life or what you do in life, there's always going to be issues that we come across. Where we don't live in this world by ourselves. And so, there's a plethora of things. And rather than just sort of trying to shut them out and forget about them, like out of sight, out of mind, oh, it doesn't exist, it's not happening. It is happening, recognizing that, and let's just work through that and support each other as we're doing that. So that's where this whole hashtag a tarot revolution came about. And of course, as Ravneet and I had been talking, tarot has been a very staple in that healing journey for us. And how we process and use. So tarot, oracle, divination as a whole. So that's where this, like I said, where this tag came from. So sort of jumping right into it, I came up with about 10 prompts, but they're not really set in stone per se. They're still, I think it allows room for self-reflection and the ability to sort of tailor it to your individual journey. So anyways, so the first question that I came up with is a tarot that addresses or represents relationships. So I'm curious, after all my rambling, what did you first come up with? And if you came up with more than one deck, Ravneet, then let's talk about that too. Because I know this was a difficult task for the both of us, because we were like scrambling around trying to and then as we were looking for decks, I realized and I got the beautiful opportunity to watch your beautiful self running around with looking like a chicken with her head cut off, trying to find the decks, which I realized was hilarious because that was kind of what I was going through myself. And in that process, you find, oh yeah, what about that deck? Oh yeah, what about that deck? So tell me, what did you come up with for the first prompt?
So I think for me, relationships are multifaceted. So uh, for just like the idea of love and relationship, I chose Tarot of Hearts by
Of
Isabel
course
Hayes.
you did. Of course
The
you did.
colors are really romantic, and it's just really easy to get in touch with um, the idea of like, just look at the colors. It's so inviting and it's so passionate and romantic to me. So definitely, this is for the whole idea and prospect of um, love and relationships. Um,
Yes.
but then I think most of our wounding is also in relationships. And so what I have been using for that aspect is reclaim. Unpopular, but yes. Because I think it is amazing for shadow work in relationship, because most of our wounding, projections, that kind of stuff, abandonment, jealousy, all of those emotions are covered in this deck really well, actually. And it's a chunky deck, so there's a whole range
Yeah,
of
88
emotions.
cards. Well, actually, the version I think that you have is 99 cards now, I think. Yes.
Yes, it's like
Yes.
100-ish, I think. Yeah, maybe like that. But yeah, I just feel like it's really good for um, shadow work in relationships, and also if you're going through like a breakup or something, what you're feeling and all of that. When emotions are just too much. I'm sorry. Emotions are just too much. So it's very clear. I feel like this deck. Also, this little guidebook is very to the point and very clear, because when you're emotional, it's hard to understand what you're feeling. Um,
Hmm.
so there, yeah, I'll just stick to two for now, but I have more. So,
I know, I
anyways,
know. And you know what? I love it because as you pull out, and of course, all of me is like just super excited, and it's like the my inner child is like, yeah, she did that deck. It's like, okay, calm down. And the reason why it was because, well, the Tarot of Hearts, how the Tarot of Hearts came to be in your collection. Yeah, thanks to me. Yeah, sorry, not sorry. But also because we just finished doing on your channel, we just finished walking through that deck, and I feel like even in the walkthrough and the unboxing, there was a lot of elements that were coming out that I felt like um even in the conversation, things that I wouldn't ordinarily probably pick out were things that were coming up as we were discussing it, right? Because that was the whole point, right? Um, and that was such a fun experience, and I can't wait to do it again with you for another day. Which we have already discussed and have already thought about doing. But in that process, um, yeah, and the Reclaim is another deck, fabulous, fabulous deck. And I think actually how we've come to be on each other's radar is through that deck, I would say. And the Reclaim Oracle, and just the personal history and connection that I have to that deck um, is very heartwarming for me, because it is also a deck that's very much stapled into my healing work, and especially as I've broken out into divination and things like that. Um, the creator means a lot to me. Was one of my first guests that I had on my channel, to talk about that deck. So I'm very proud of that deck. I didn't create it, but I'm proud of the work that I've been able to do with that deck. And how much I've seen that it's touched other people. Right? Even, and just the connection that it has for a lot. So, um, Yeah. And it's funny because I didn't pick that deck. That deck did not
Okay.
in these prompts, I was shocked. I was like, wait a second, Atlanta, you that deck. Wow, right? Like it was so but anyways, but you know what? It didn't I didn't need to because it still got picked
Exactly.
in amounts with the two of us. And just as you had stuff to say, it's a personal deck for me too. I can talk about it even though I didn't pick it. So I love that. But what I did end up picking, and Jesus, I don't know why I because I the way that I like to package my decks, I should have I should have already started opening it while I was yapping, but I
Yeah.
didn't. Um, so um I think that that deck too is just as beautiful. The Tarot of Hearts, and like I said, I can see why you picked it. But for me, and hold on, because this is where I'm talking about the idealisticness of the way that I store my decks. Okay, hold on a minute.
Girl.
I know. And all this time while I was yapping, but I was just so engrossed in talking about and listening to you that I forgot. Alana, this is stuff you could have been doing while she was talking. Like, why didn't you? Because I was paying attention. Hold on.
Yeah,
What
like mhm, mhm.
Okay. Fill in the gap. You can fill in the gap. That's okay.
Yeah,
Keep
I think
yapping.
another deck that I actually use for relationship is Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot.
Oh,
It's
yes.
I
That's a
use
very good
that
one.
I use that a lot for relationship issues because somehow I think the imagery is so inner child that um, I think most of our relationship issues actually stem from childhood. So it actually is a nice bridge between the two age gap age groups, I think. And it hits less hard, I guess, with this deck because of the imagery than
Mm-hmm.
it does with the adults in the image. I guess it's more to me feel more inviting for this type of work. So Nicoletta Ciccoli is another option. Go on.
Yeah, and that's a deck that it's funny because I had a dream about that deck like a while back when and I was in the dream I was searching for that deck. And I remember because it's a deck that has that very sort of quirky, cutesy, but creepy kind of sort of aspect to it. And I remember hearing a lot about it being really good great for like inner child work, shadow work, especially if we're dealing with childhood trauma and things like that, right? But the deck that I ended up choosing for this tag is the Modern Love um tarot, exploring the many facets of love. And this is by Ethony. And
Mm-hmm.
she's a big staple in the community. She, has created several different decks, but this is one of hers. And this deck is actually out of print now, as far as I know. Um, so yeah. Um, but it was something that was it's an indie printed deck, but is available or was available on Amazon. Um, and so this deck I absolutely love. These are the backs of the cards. It is more of like oracle size sort of card. Um, but here we have the Fool, um, Magician,
Interesting.
the High Priestess. And
Oh,
as you
I
can
love
see,
that.
it's very diverse. Uh,
Yeah.
excuse me, not only in the characters, in their ethnicities, but also just even in their body types and stuff like that. The Empress,
This is beautiful.
um,
Wow. I haven't
the
seen this deck.
Emperor.
Wow.
Yes. And the reason why I love this one and I sort of why I chose this one um for the relationship prompt is, well, besides the fact that it's modern love tarot, um but the guidebook, which let me show you, and yes, there's hold on. Yes, these are the lovers, Chariot. But just like you see, like the Tarot of Hearts,
Mm,
just like the Tarot of Hearts, the book is chunky.
mm,
It's I mean, smaller chunky, but it's still really chunky. And the way that it's laid out in the guidebook. So, okay, so I just pulled to the Wheel of Fortune here, but you'll see it has the Wheel of Fortune, then it has a general love meaning,
mm.
then it has single and loving it. Then it has a section for ready for love and dating.
Wow. Okay, it's very geared towards relationships.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have committed relationship. And then we have struggling relationship. So it's really geared around that, exactly that prompt, right? About love and relationships and hitting the different aspects of
Yeah.
relationships, and right. So that's why I really love this deck um so much, because of that. And yeah, and of course, so like the other one that I would have chosen for this, of course, would be the Tarot of Hearts. But I didn't need to choose that because you already did. And so, and funny, when I came up with the prompt, this was the first one that came to mind, was the modern love. So yeah. And
Beautiful.
and mainly, yes, because of the guidebook and the way that the guidebook is really laid out. And I think that that was one of my favorite aspects to this deck, and
The
why that I,
imagery, yeah, the imagery
yeah.
looks like it's looks pretty versatile actually.
Yeah,
Um,
so like here's the
but
Seven of Swords,
yeah, beautiful.
right?
It's giving me a very everyday enchantment type vibes.
Say that
Uh,
again.
Everyday enchantment type vibes. It's giving me that deck vibes too. Very
And I don't have that one. Eight of Swords.
yeah.
So yeah. Um yeah.
Oh, another
And
thing.
there's I have a lot of I have a lot of love decks, but that was like, yeah. So, but
Okay,
this was the one that really stood out for me. So yeah, so I chose that.
awesome. Another thing I
Okay.
wanted to ask was, is our video in gallery mode or is it like split?
It should be in gallery. It will be in
Okay,
gallery mode
got it. Okay,
when it records, yeah. But I'm not seeing it in gallery like right now as we're talking, but yeah, it will be when it's recorded. So,
okay,
yeah.
awesome.
Okay.
Um, Beautiful.
So what's your for the next prompt? Or did you
Everyday
have
life.
more to that first prompt? Are you good?
No, it's done. It's done.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um, Everyday life, right? That was the next one.
No, the second one was so a tarot or oracle deck that represents cultural differences.
Cultural differences. Oh, I see. Okay. So I think my idea was that when I think about cultural differences, it's about giving um, enough interest in other philosophies as well. So tantric dakini came to my mind. It's very Eastern philosophy.
Okay.
Tantra, it's Tibetan Buddhism type symbolism. These are the bags. I actually trimmed it off, so that's they don't look like this originally.
Sorry,
But
what's that? Say that again.
I trimmed off the borders because it doesn't look like this originally.
Oh,
But
okay. Oh,
it's
you're
a,
one of those. You're a hacker of the decks. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
it's a really old deck, so the imagery is kind of actually makes me laugh sometimes because it's weird, it's wild, but like that was Phoenix, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. For example,
Cool.
so it has covered some of the archetypes of the tarot. Um, like this is very Eastern Maya, how she spins. It's basically the illusion of the 3D. It's called Maya in Eastern philosophy. But the wild one, like this is interesting, Scarlet Woman. So it's very, it's about Kali, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very like this is High Priestess. It's very 80s, like psychedelic type of artwork. But I think I kind of like that they covered it. They covered the Eastern philosophy here, so that's one tantric bikini. Um, I have a lot of decks like that, but maybe I should stick to one, huh? I can stick to one. It's fine.
Say that again?
I'll just stick to one. Is it? Am I audible or no?
Yeah, I can hear you. But
Okay.
it every so often the volume seems a little bit low. So yeah.
Okay. Another one I will mention that I really like, and I'm trying to pick decks that I don't usually talk about much, or I do, but it's rare. It's the Wisdom Keepers, um, by Rosie Aronson, and I chose this because it's based on I Ching, like Chinese philosophy. So it's what does it say? Yeah, it's so these are really beautiful bags again, Dragonfly. But it really talks about like the gene keys and the I Ching. They're kind of put together, and they're all different types of culture, people from different cultures here. If you see, and what I heard was these are channeled stories of all of these different archetypes.
Did a light go off for you? Oh
Uh,
no, it didn't. It's just when I think you put your hand up, it suddenly looked the background looked darker. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they're kind of what are they called? Glare. I think the glare is
Yes.
kind of. But yeah,
That's a
it's
very
like
very nice deck. Very nice.
it's it's beautiful deck. Oh my god, it makes me cry every time because it's just so beautiful. But that is my another option. So yes, I'm trying to choose different because everyday enchantment is another one that everyone talks about. So I'm not choosing that. But yeah, these
Yeah.
two. Yes.
Okay. So for me, it was I chose the New Era Elements Tarot.
Ooh,
This is a
yeah.
US Games publication. Now, the reason why this one came to mind, and this was almost like instantaneous for that question, um, is because I was like, what's a deck that when I go through the deck, I feel like different cultures are represented in the deck. Um, and yeah, and so I chose this one, and well, yeah, so here's the title card and the Fool,
Mm.
the Magus, and I know the first few cards you're like, why did you choose this one? The High Priestess. I saw that face.
Oh no.
Here's the Empress.
Mm, interesting.
Now, the reason why, more specifically, why I chose this particular deck is mainly because of the court cards. So I'll show you here. Um, so each of the suits, the court cards are represented by different ethnic groups. So here we have the daughter of fire,
Mm.
the son of fire, mother of fire, and father of fire. Okay. Now, water, like the cover on the box. Here's the daughter of water, son of water, mother of water, father of water.
Does the guidebook talk about any of these people, or what is, or does it
Yes,
touch
it
on the
does.
artwork?
It does. Um, Here we have, I'm going to show you the daughter of air,
Okay.
son of air.
Yeah, we got the point. We got the point.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And then here's the earth. Yes. So that's kind of why I picked this one. And then they have so it does talk about culturally speaking, the suit and the representations of the characters from each of the suits, um and what they're like, what background they're from. I'm just trying to find, hold on a second. Um, okay, so like exploring the card, and then we have for water, we have the card depicts a Maori warrior, his face adorned with the complex line work of Mao Moko. He wears a traditional feather cloak and a green stone toki pendant, which gives him a chief's authority. So it does dive into the different cultures in the representations for the court cards. So that's also why I really love that. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah.
Oh, putting these decks back in order is going to be fun.
I like your T-shirt. It says "Card Sharks." Uh huh.
Oh, thanks.
Uh huh. Um. Okay. Beautiful.
Okay, so that's the new era elements. Okay, and I didn't really have like a secondary really for that one.
It's
Um,
cool. I just have a
but
lot of decks, but go on. Like
yeah,
you.
I know, right? Okay, third prompt: a deck that reflects everyday living or urban life.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer again about the um, everyday enchantment, Poppy Pillow. Like that's the first one that came to my mind. It's just normal, and it can actually go in cultural differences too, because there are a lot of people of different cultures here.
Oh
But
yes, I love that.
yeah, so like everyday life, she's reading a book, having her coffee, people
Yes,
eating, having fun, kids, you know, 10 of cups, and it's very LGBTQ friendly as well. I saw that.
yes, I see that. I love that.
And yeah, it's just very normal people. Hangman, it's a person doing some kind of um, circus stuff or some kind of
Yeah,
lawyers. That it's very like everyday suburb type of vibe.
yeah,
Um, and also the body types are pretty diverse, which I like, and people of different cultures really like, and it's very modern. Um, yeah, another one that I'll just keep it to one. It's fine. Let's move on.
Well,
I
just
will be
say
here
it. Just
forever.
say. Just say.
Well, I think another one that comes to my mind is Tower of Mystical Moments.
Really? For every
But
day?
yeah, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, yes, please do.
Because it is very romantic, I understand. But if you really see, it's very modern as well. Because she's standing in the middle of buildings, so it gives you it grounds you back. I feel like, look at that. Well, that's not really. Hold on, let me show you what I'm talking about.
I was going to say
Yeah.
every day holding a key like that with a shell on your head. I don't know about
No.
that, but
Yeah, but I feel like it grounds me for some reason. It's very grounding to me. Like
yes.
Judgment, she's standing in the middle of buildings and stuff. Um, Six of Cups, I know it looks very dreamy, but it's still very grounding for me for some reason. Um, Emperor, of course.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my choice also for every day because I feel like I tend to be a dreamy person myself, and so it kind of vibes with me that way because I like to see the mundane, like the mystical in the mundane. So I think that's why I feel like this deck speaks to me because I am like this. I'm logical, but I also like to dream, you know? So
And you know what?
that's,
And that's perfectly okay because that's
yeah,
it's all too about your own
subjective.
interpretation, how you
Yeah,
exactly,
interpretation.
right? And perspective, and just to show the different perspectives. So it's funny because
Right.
when I first thought this prompt up, the decks that initially came to mind, and funny, one of them I forgot. I didn't actually pull.
Yeah.
I forgot to pull, but the one deck that, well, actually, there were a few, but I think I'm only going to really show just a couple. I'll probably just should, yeah, just, okay.
Okay.
The one deck is that first came out or came up for me was there's what's the is it the urban, I forget what it's called, but it's a deck I
Urban
don't even
Crow.
have.
Urban
The which
Crow.
one? The
Urban
urban,
Crow.
yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't even have that
MJ.
deck. But the next World Tarot, that's the one that was one of the ones that first came up, and of course this one is very and this can go in other categories as well, as you can see, because it is very pride friendly and stuff like that. But I'm not going to show that one because I feel like this one is another one that when I went digging for another deck, I was like, oh yeah, that deck. Yeah, okay, grab it. So then um and this is the Today's Journey Tarot.
Today's
And
Journey
this
Tarot.
one is it's a Schiffer Publishing. Um yeah, Schiffer Red Feather. And so here we have the Fool. And yeah, so this is why you can see why this is very everyday. I felt manifestation, wisdom. It I don't particularly like the art so much, but it's the way that it's
Yeah.
like it's illustrated that gives that to me that very sort of everyday feeling. And this is
Right.
why, because the characters look a little weird to me. Here we have creativity, and I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a little girl or an old lady, but it looks like an old lady. But then kind of, so it's like that's why I'm just like I don't know about the illustrations, but I get it. So yeah.
Got it.
um
Makes sense.
yeah, and here's
Yeah.
the Union card.
What's going on here? Oh,
They're
okay.
just sitting
Interesting.
at they're just sitting on a blanket looking at the stars kind of thing, if you will.
The glare makes it hard. Okay, got it.
Yeah, control. So this is why I felt very sort of give that everyday kind of feeling. And why I chose this one. Um, the other one that sort of comes up in this category for me is This Might Hurt Tarot, which I do have, but I'm not going to show that one.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah.
I can see that.
Okay. Um, so the next prompt that I have was um a tarot deck or oracle that represents interpersonal reflection, feelings, mental health disorder.
Yeah. Oh, I have so many decks around
Well,
that.
mental health. Actually,
But
the disorder part was something else I wrote down. So yeah, but yeah,
well, I think I have shown Reclaim already. I'll not open it, but this deck by Marion Vasquez, I hope I'm saying it right.
yeah.
I think this deck is really good for like trauma work, shadow work. Again, naming your emotions and also emotional intelligence. I think it does a great job for that in trauma and reflection, that kind of stuff.
I would I
Another,
would agree.
yeah. Oh, I know not many people talk about this, but for me, Canty G article by Ray Diamond, um, I think is for me very helpful. And these are the backs. It's a round back.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
for me, it has really helped me ground, and it's very nurturing. It's like a gentle therapist. I feel like this deck, also, especially
Okay.
the guidebook. The guidebook. It's like a wise elder talking to you. It has that kind of energy. Um, it encourages to slow down, to rest, um, to reconnect, like being the present. It's in a very gentle way. The guidebook is one of the best guidebooks, I feel like. So I feel like this deck is really helpful for like burnout, anxiety, um, grief, that kind of heavy, like dense emotions that are really hard to even touch because they just slow you down and almost paralyze you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I feel like for me, mental health has to be very gentle. I'm not that abrasiveness does not really help me. Another one that I'll just show if I have it here um, is this creative consciousness healing. The imagery is very like gentle inner child. There's like really beautiful, gentle meditations, visualizations, um, which really help with like, especially like PTSD, like complex trauma, which is just, it just needs a lot of nurturing and time. So really gentle artwork, and it's not a love and light deck in any way. I won't say that, but it just does help with mental health issues in a very like gentle way. Let's say that's my wife. If you don't see it, it's very gentle. So that's it. Yeah.
Nice. So the deck that I thought of when I thought about this prompt, well, there was more than one. Um, one of the first ones, of course, was the nice, nice. Dirt gems.
Hmm. Yes.
I picked out the dirt gems, and yes, this is the power of plant allies, but it's I feel like the reason why I picked this one for this prompt is because of especially the guidebook. The way that the guidebook is sort of outlined, And I feel like it does talk a lot about the plant, but it also talks about when you're feeling a certain way, why this one is helpful. And it really sort of goes into what I feel are yeah, like very interpersonal, everyday kind of feelings, and why this plant could be very helpful and very soothing to really to really reflect upon when you're going through something like that. So that's why I really like the dirt gems, and I picked it for that reason. But also, what also was coming up, actually, what didn't come up, but it's when I started digging through for other decks, I was like, came across it, I was like, oh yeah, yeah, and that is disorder. Um, And that's why I wrote, when I said the mental health, and why I read disorder was because I was writing the name of the deck. Disorder, a tarot of innocence. Um, as you can see, I do like a lot of black and white decks, very that kind of way. But yeah, and so this is a deck that is published by Los Scarabeo, but is distributed by Llewellyn. And it's one of their limited edition decks. So I have 1640 out of 4,000. Um, the the deck is like, you can still get it on Amazon, whatever. But the imagery is very much in your face, sort of shadowy, alien sort of type looking kind of deck. The Magician, the High Priestess, Emperor, or the Empress, sorry, and then the Emperor.
Interesting.
Um,
I'm curious,
yeah.
like, how do you use it for, like,
Say
is the
that again?
guidebook or is it the imagery or the guidebook? Like, I'm just curious how you use it for.
It's well, I mean, other than of course the title, but no, it's very much again too with the guidebook. Um, oh well, I didn't really want that to happen. Um, so it's even the write up in the guidebook isn't a lot, but it's still giving you that premise of like that deep sort of shadow work. And then when you it gives you a little bit of um so like the Eight of Wands, it says dynamism and leaping into the void. So it's very prompt space, but it's it's very that sort of dive into the darker realms, the darker aspects of self, getting to know thyself, and really confronting those aspects of shadow. So that's why I really like this deck for that reason. And yeah, and it just felt, even the write-up of like how the deck was created feels very much in alignment with that sort of psychological darker aspect of self, and really diving deeper and getting to know that. So and there's a book that I have that I feel sort of gives that a sort of same illusion. It's called Everyone's, it's a what do they call it, like a almost like a graphic sort of comic book kind of thing, but it's not really. And it's called Everyone's an Albion When You're an Albion Too. And so it's like, and the way that it's written, it's very written in a like almost like a child's sort of writing, because the way the words that are written, it's got that sort of alienistic if you're really looking at it, because the words are purposely misspelled, but your mind can still read it and it still makes sense. So it's kind of that sort of got that really sort of dark, sort of twisted aspect of mind, um, to really make you think that way. So that's why I really like that one. Um, and ooh, the other deck that sort of came to mind when I was picking at is the Citadel Oracle. I don't know if you know a little bit the Citadel, if you know the Citadel at all, but it's just especially the way, because it really goes, and it's based off a game, um, by Liminal 11, but I feel like and I'll show a picture of it on screen, and I'm sure many people know about the Citadel Oracle, but it's like that sort of elongated ox octagon sort of style deck, and the characters are part of what they call the city of Citadel, and then it's about how they all interact. So it's sort of got that very story base. It is a part game deck, um, and but it's got that interpersonal shadow work, how the different characters sort of interplay with one another. So it's like the archetypes, getting to understand the different archetypes and their role in society, if you will, or within the Citadel world, if you will. So I really like that. um okay, what was your environmental concerns deck?
Well, I think a lot of the plant-based decks kind of are encouraging us to think about these, but then if I have to specifically choose one or two, of course, Kantiji again. It's very much geared. Actually, the book was written before the artwork. It says it's an ecological spiritual guide, so it's very ecological. They want us to think that way. So again, this particular deck, I feel like wants us to live in tandem and peacefully. And it actually talks about like the reverence towards earth and like the grief in that aspect, right? Because there is grief, right, about what is going on collectively, um, based on the climate and other concerns. So, and then it encourages us to connect with nature, because I think that's also a big reason of why we are the way we are collectively. So, and it also wants us to co-regulate with nature. It encourages us to co-regulate with nature. um, so the artwork looks weird, but when the guidebook, I think, takes the cake for this particular deck here.
The guidebook you feel makes sense of what you're seeing.
Yes, yes. So, um, so yeah, it's very much wants us to, for example, if I pick one of them, it says, for example, this is the self seen. Well, I pick up this one. Your delight charms the world. Okay, so it's 13. So there is a separate passage just for this. Um, so this is the card, for example. It says, cultivate an ability to generate a good feeling from within that is not dependent on outer circumstances, has many positive side effects, including a greater sense of well-being and an increased ability to see solutions that were not apparent before. So it is asking us, for example, it's encouraging us to be in our parasympathetic, right? That's what it's called, the rest and digest um, rhythm of us. It's encouraging us to go there so we are more inclined to notice and appreciate the beauty of nature, which actually helps us go into that zone even further. So if you are happy, everyone wins, you know? So it's really interesting how the guidebook is written. Really, really nice guidebook. So that's one that came to my mind. Another one, Dirt Gems, like you mentioned already, it's a really good one, I feel like, it's because plants, I guess, with the collective that or the systems that we have created, we have gotten farther and farther away from how everything is created and how everything comes from the earth, and we just get it in boxes. And I think this deck does a really good job of somehow making sense of the energies of the different plants and how they can help us with their wisdom. So
Yes.
I also and it is made by a herbalist. So it's very like from a decolonialized lens, which I really like. Um, so yeah, like plants as teachers, really nice guidebook again. So we will write down the name of the decks in the description box below in case.
Yeah, I would definitely have all of them, and then yeah, and then for you, if you can send me the list of the some, yeah, so then I can have them down in the description too. So for me, this was almost like a it was an easy no-brainer um for this one. But that was mainly because of the title. Um Sort of like how the disorder one sort of came about for me. But this one is the 78 tarot, and they do have their themes that they do go about. So this is the ecological collective, like different several 78 different artists that create the cards for the deck. But the and written by Trish Sullivan. And right now, because of what's been going on in our world, with, of course, especially in the US, with the tariffs and all of that, their latest their two latest decks that they have been creating. One is I think a water world. I forget what it's called. And then they had their 10th anniversary, and both of those have been severely affected because of all of the tariffs and all of that. Much like some other very beloved tarot creators, especially when it comes to the indie decks. So I feel like that in itself is sort of very fitting for this prompt, because of the fact that we're talking about you know our ecosystem. We're talking about um community. We're right, and what is going on is severely impacting these creators on a very personal level. And this really speaks to the heart of their work. And so what not a better sort of pick for this category than yeah, the ecological collaboration deck by 78 Tarot. And of course, you have all the different creators that are part of this deck. Um, Meditation, the Plague. Some of these are just like additional cards that sort of speak to the beginning. Like some of them are renamed a little bit. Um, we have the Awakening, which would stand in for the Fool. We have the or no, now I don't remember. Okay, but we have the Explorer. We have the Scientists. We have the High Priestess. And you can see how very eclectic this deck very, very much is, where that is concerned. Mother Earth.
Wow, I have never never seen this deck before. It's beautiful.
Father Time.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Guru. And as you can see, this creature is very much made up of all the elements, right? Very plant-based. Even the the book that they have, it's the earth versus earth on fire, kind of like where we are right now, right? The lovers. So really that connectivity between human and AI.
Very interesting. I really like this deck. It's very
The trailblazer.
what is the trailblazer?
Yeah. And I like I go through this deck, and this deck too, it as I go through it, because of all the different artists that are in the deck, it like when I see certain cards, it brings me to that artist's work. So like for example, like the Strength card, which is by Olivia Rose. And it really triggers me into her deck, the Mind's Eye Tarot, which I also do have. So, I love how, again, I can sort of reflect as I go through the cards and see how the different artists and their work, and then be triggered into their own work if I happen to have their deck and things like that. So yeah, a lot of triggering of, not in a bad way, but like of reflection of what I'm seeing. And it's all sort of still goes back to that idea of the ecological um aspect, that sort of community base, we're one, our one world kind of thing. So I love that. And then also too, the write up in the guidebook, we have like the artist's interpretation. So like for example, the Three of Earth, which I just stumbled on, which is by Holly Morningstar. And the artist's interpretation, just the first couple of lines here. One of the greatest challenges we face with climate change is working together for the benefit of our children and grandchildren, and listening to today's youth who have incredible ambitions and imaginative ideas. So you see how and that's just the artist interpretation. Like I haven't even read Trisha Sullivan's writing to that. So I love that the dual sort of perspectives when it comes to that as well, right? So yeah. So that's why this one is one of my favorites for that. And I didn't really have like another choice for that prompt, but that was the one that really came up. So yeah, so I went with that.
It's a cool deck.
Okay, so well, you're not centered in. Oh, that's why. Forgot there's a ribbon for that. Okay. Well, there. Okay, dokie. And the next prompt that I had was political concerns.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think my whole practice is around that. So most of my decks do touch on, you know, getting. I guess I'm a very like justice oriented person. So like even like the my fascination with mythology and all of that is coming from that angle
Mm-hmm.
of empowerment. right? But if I do want to say like artwork, I would say the Unveiled Tarot.
Okay, yes,
By
yes.
it does make you think, like from the political sense. For example, the Fool here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it does make you think like people standing there are the right person and all that, you know. I kind of enjoy that. I don't think I've worked much with this deck yet, but it does touch on. See, this is another one. This is Seven of Swords. So it
Sorry,
does make
see,
you.
well, I grab the other. Yeah,
And you know why are the things the way they are? Because I feel we can run away from politics, but we are still influenced by politics. So every single thing that is in society has some political angle, and why are things the way they are? And so I think this deck really makes you think from that angle, right? Uh,
yeah.
like these.
But it's like it's basically it's pretty much it goes back to what I was saying at the top of the of this video where I said why I wanted to touch on this was the fact that the things that are going on in the world, like we can in our healing process and stuff like that to maintain peace, we can say we're not looking at those things, but we can't run away from it.
Look at
So
that.
unless we face it, are we really truly having peace?
Well, you know, we can't stay illusion. We all have a choice. But like, look, this is King of
Yes.
Swords. So look at his
Yes.
tiny heart.
Right?
But
Yeah.
it really makes you think like, hey, you have a heart too. It's just not your brain, okay? Like this is like King of Pentacles. Well, this is like they're playing. Oh, they're in a meeting. Look at that. Like this is King of Pentacles, and they are all in a meeting, but he's playing a game. You know.
So it really
So
goes, yeah, to what's really under the surface. Like everything is not as it
as it
seems.
looks, yeah.
Yes.
So
So
that is
it's
my
like about
choice.
really taking off that mask.
Yep.
Exactly. And so I really love that. So for me, the deck that really came up to really speak about this, where that was concerned, is the Grateful Dead. And I remember when I first sort of now the Grateful Dead is actually a band, a musical band from like the 60s, 70s, something like that. And their music is very undertone political, that kind of way. And so when a deck when I was getting into tarot and then found that there was a deck that they had a deck, it was weird because I came across the deck first before I even knew who the Grateful Dead was and what they stood for and stuff like that. But the way that I was immediately taken to it, um to the tarot. Now when it first came out, it was an indie deck and a pretty
Yeah.
pricey indie deck, which was only available in the States. um
Right.
but I contacted my beautiful creator friend, Marion, who you're holding her deck there as you put it away, the Reclaim Oracle. And she, when one of her campaigns was coming out, I managed to get her to buy this for me and send it to me with her deck that she was sending. And so at the time. And so this is the official Grateful Dead, their indie version. But this deck has since been released mass market. Um, and I do have a walkthrough and a comparative of both of the decks, like the indie and the mass market version on my thing. But the reason why I'm pulling out this particular one, the especially this one, is because of the bigger guidebook. And the bigger guidebook really goes into a lot of those aspects of the political that I'm talking about. So I'll show you. Yes, it has its own inner box. And this one I love because it's also linen cardstock.
Mhm.
And the backs.
Yeah.
And so here we go. We have a storyteller for the Fool. We have the musician.
Mhm.
We have Lady for the High Priestess. We have Mother for the Empress. And as you can see there, the way that it's colored, and we even have like the rainbow bridge in the background.
Right.
We have Father. We have Saint. The Lovers. So very much a shadow work, but political kind of sort of aspect of a deck. And I'll show you the guidebook real quick, because it's really, for me, it's really about the guidebook. And the way that the suits are cut up, I think we have skulls, trying to remember, bears. Hold on. Bolts and roses. So we have roses, skulls, bolts, and bears. And then the way that it's there's a little bit of poetry in some aspects. But here we have the Knight of Roses. Okay. So skipping through the rushes in the summer sun, the Knight of Roses is wide open to life. She wears a winged helmet, a symbol of her adaptability and ability to maneuver around any obstacle. The Knight of Roses is young, attractive, and creative personality. She dives deeply into the mysteries of love and spirituality, opening to whatever adventure finds her. And then of course you have like the meaning, the thing, and then a really in deeper written thing on how that whole thing fits into society and your place in it, and that kind of thing as well. So and I really do go in depth into in with this. If you see the walkthrough on my of the Grateful Dead that I did late last year, I think. Yeah. So yeah, so the Grateful Dead is definitely that one that fits that category for me, where that is concerned.
Okay.
And then yeah, and like the next world tarot and stuff like that. There was another deck that I meant to pull out, but I don't remember the name of it, and I forgot to grab it. And it's also another game. It's also another deck like Citadel that doubles as a game. Like it's a tarot and a game as well. So what did you have for Pride prompt?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think I remember when we were doing the Tarot of Hearts unboxing,
Yes.
we saw some pride cards like the sun.
Yes.
These are very like, um, but I think it's kind of mixed up. I don't have a specific deck that does it, but I do have some components here and there. Like this is everyday enchantment, and like these, they're clearly, that's great. Um, so that's the 10 of Cups. So there are components here and there. Let me see. I think I have seen rainbows in this deck so many times. But yeah, that's my choice. It's Tarot of Hearts by Isabel Hayes and A Read Enchantment by Poppy Killian.
By Poppy Palin. Gotcha.
Yeah. And
I really like that. So, again, with you showing the Tarot of Hearts, can you show that card again that you showed? I think it was the Sun card.
yeah, the Pride Tarot has this thing.
Yes. And remember I said that that was a deck that was that card identified as the and from another deck, and it's the cover to the Pride Tarot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course I picked the Pride Tarot because I had to. And yeah, so this is another US Games deck. But it's also another collaborative decks. As you can see, I have a thing for the collaborative decks too. So yes.
Yeah. You definitely
Yeah.
have a theme going on there for sure.
Say that again?
You definitely have a themes I'm seeing in your card.
Yes, yes. Um,
Cool.
and so yeah, so I definitely picked the thing. And part of this is and how this deck came about um is on March 31st in 2017, Gilbert Baker, the creator of the iconic rainbow flag,
Mm-hmm.
sadly passed away. He was both an LGBTQ activist and artist, and was known for helping friends create banners for protests and marches. So, in honor of his memory, I think this is why this deck was created, was to honor that. And of course, this is the backs. Love is love. And then they actually have a instructions for a rainbow spread that you can do. And especially and it's funny because I remember when I first got this deck. It was when I first got this deck, and I don't know why I'd never really put it together before, but I said to myself, there is a very distinct correlation between pride and chakras. And I said, if you look at the flag is a representation of our chakras in with all the colors. So this was why for me where I was like, love is love. And it was a very distinct understanding of that whole concept of why love is love.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot, and some of the you'll notice that some of the cards in here are actually cards. So this card here particularly, which is the Messenger, illustrated by Christy C. Rode. She is the creator of the Next World Tarot.
Oh wow.
So
Got it.
yeah. So that's you see, and so I feel like this is how the how very much
Yeah.
how much connectivity I feel like is in this, because you know some of the decks that I've already mentioned are highlighted in this one deck,
Yeah.
right? And so yeah, like this Pride deck connects various decks together, and some of which we've already just named here. So yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
It's a beautiful deck.
And I love how reversible the backs are, because even the way it's written, love is love, but when you turn it around, it's still love is love. So yeah, there's no mistaking that. Okay. And of course, any of the other the decks that we've already mentioned, like the Tarot of Hearts, the Dirt Gems, all of those are same sort of friendly, um, pride friendly sort of decks. So yes. Next prompt was that I had. We have um so this one. And now the way that I wrote this, and I as I was writing it, I first led with Black Lives Matter. But of course, that to me was more so speaking to um racial wellness. So it doesn't matter regardless of what your background is, what is something that really speaks personally to you that reflects your own heritage. And so for me, it was thinking about Black Lives Matter and, sort of indigenous racial wellness. And so with that, came about, where did I put it? Oh, here it is.
I was going, right? Do you want to go first?
Huh? Yeah, actually, no, you go first. You go first.
Okay. I think what I have a lot of decks like that, but what came to mind was Wise Earth Medicine Tarot by Lania Simone, because she, I think, is an Indigenous Canadian artist. And hold on. So yeah, it's really beautiful deck, but I think it touches on like ancestral medicine, like those elemental wisdom, um, you know, land-based storytelling type white.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice, really beautiful deck. That's one, and another one because I think I'll just speed up because I'm getting hungry now. Is the Earth Warriors by Alana Fairchild. Um, it, it
Okay.
it does talk about indigenous wisdom. It's a very, I don't think many people talk about this deck, but it's very, look at that, like Diamond Tiger of the Black Moon. So it's about the indigenous tribes all over the world and the wisdom from all of them. So it's in Ganyama, honor of the ancient king. So there, it's not just one tribe because I see like all different kinds of tribal wisdom in this deck. Katiki, yeah. So Earth
Very
Warriors by
nice.
Lana Fairchild. Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah.
So, yeah, so for me, like I said, there was a few and that sort of came up. Um, the one that came up more so right away was the Black Tarot, um, published by RP Studios. And this is the one that is by Nyasha Williams. There's her name at the bottom. And I've used this deck in on before for readings and I think on my channel. Um but yeah, I just want to really show this. And of course, I also picked the adjacent published by Andrews McMeel Publishing, mind you, but the companion sort of oracle deck that goes with this one, with the deck. So here we have here's the backs, and then
Oh, they're beautiful. Yeah.
we have the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess.
It's very minimalistic and it's interesting.
And I like the just the way that it's the simplicity in the artwork. But also like it's simple, but it's not simple at the same time. Um and they're faceless. So like there's no like, right? It's that giving you that freedom to assert yourself in the images, if you will. So I really like that for that reason. And of course, it's always about the guidebook for me, right? And this one actually has do you have the Black Tarot?
I don't.
Oh, okay, you don't have the Black Tarot. I couldn't remember if you did or you didn't. Because I know we have quite a few decks in common, but I couldn't remember if this was one that we had in
I
common.
haven't seen this deck actually before.
Oh, really? You haven't? Okay, so yeah, this is actually a really nice deck. Um, and both the Black Tarot and the adjacent Oracle deck, which I'll show you in a second, both of them have additional like journals that you can use to work out. And there's like different spreads. This one goes into even the symbolism in the deck. It goes through the moon cycles. It talks about the yin and yang. And it has, so like, okay, here we have Mother of Baskets. It gives you the traits, card description, the yin yang, how, and then how to bring yourself back into alignment.
Nice.
So and then I think I can't remember if it's in this one. No, it's not in this one, but somewhere I forget which, and there's so many decks that actually have like journaling prompts. But that could be very well in the Oracle. So let me just take a look because I can't remember. But yeah. And here's it's called the Elemental Alchemist. And so this is I would say the companion oracle for this deck. And this one has a take action. And yes, it does have here. Yeah, this one is the one that has like the little prompts. So we have under peace, it has do relationships that are over or objects you no longer have continue to occupy your mind? Do you really know the difference between needs and wants? Do you physically or digitally aim to keep up with the Joneses? And then it gives you take action. So it does have that reflection when it talks about like I said, like peace, right? For example, are you in alignment with peace? So yeah, so I really like that for that reason.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, and then the book, which was this one, which I wanted to show you, which was the racial wellness. So this actually has a deck too, but I'm not going to show you the deck. I just wanted to show you the book because it's a guide to liberatory healing for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And you know, given everything that has been going on right now, we need a lot of that, right? So yeah. Yeah. So that was that one. I had ancestral work, but I mean, take your pick.
Kind of, yeah. Well, I think for ancestral, yeah, it was because I am from India and there's not much ancestral texts like that, you know, because they're more Celtic or um, indigenous, but um, I still learn from everyone, but I can't say that's ancestral, you know. Um, so I then resort to nature type, like for example, like Sound of the Grandmother. I like
Yes,
that
that's a
one
very,
for
very beautiful deck.
it's very like nourishing and wise elder like crone energy. Um, but it's all like nature based. So that's when for me, ancestral decks are more geared around nature based wisdom. So it can be all the different like plant based decks. That's what I count as ancestral work.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, like I said, like the ancestors, like I think I did put I pulled out like the ancestors, angels and ancestors oracle.
Mm.
But like I said, any like a lot of these decks that was already named, I feel like I would put in into that category. So especially when it came to like the Black Tarot, for example, for me. But then yeah. And then the last but not least prompt that I had, which was a deck that for you represented shadow work that you felt you could really deep dive with when it came to yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking what did I choose?
Say that again?
I'm thinking what did I choose? Oh. Yeah, I remember now. Because I have like a huge mountain of decks here. First is like Blind Spot by Teals One.
Okay.
It is, yeah, it is very straight to the point and very Teals One if you know her. Um, the guidebook is really nice, and it's like a lot of sigils, so I just wrote like the keywords down there for all of them. But it's very much like in authenticity, comfort zone, scarcity, what you really want and need, um, short term thinking, non commitment. You know, it's like very. It's a really nice deck. I don't think I have heard many people talking about this one, but this is a really nice deck. Of course, the sigils are hard to understand, but the guidebook is what I feel is to focus towards shadow work, as the name says, blind spot, right? So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to get like, because I think there are different stages of shadow work, right?
Yes.
So that's very hard hitting. But if you want to get hit hard in the imagery, then it's like El Goliath tarot. Um, okay, these are extra cards. Out. Okay, Five of Pentacles. It's black and white, so this is the Sun card. So some of the cards are really like this is Knight of Cups. So
Yes.
the atmosphere I think really makes you um, makes it a shadow work, good shadow work deck. This is Five of Wands. So it's very like raw, like primal. This is Two of Swords. So you know what I mean. So,
Yeah. I get
so
it.
yeah, it will tell you like it is. And this is the like my latest favorite is Cries of Souls by Isabel Surf. This deck is a good shadow work deck, but it gives you a perspective of why you chose the roles you chose and seeing your shadows from their standpoint because we are all about like, oh, it's your shadow, but it is there for a reason. You never get rid of your shadow, you just learn how to make it work for you or how to integrate it, right? So the artwork is very simplistic, but there are keywords like this is personal karma and there's affirmation. I decide the weight of my inner baggage, you know. So I think this is an underrated deck. It's very simple. It's not that confronting.
That
Shadow
deck is on my list because of you.
Yeah,
So
and it's
just so you know.
yeah, for example, it
Although it's
says
been on my list, it was on my list before, but it's even more like it's moved up the list because of you.
it's a good one. And for example, it says lack of self love. And then the affirmation is I love myself for who I am today. So it's very, it will tell you like it is, but then it will also hold you. Because I think that's important. You just don't want to, and this is a really nice guidebook, you just don't
Yeah.
want to stay there. You want to come back, right? From the abyss. So
Yeah.
there's like wisdom of the role, right? And then there's supplement of how to work with this energy. There's a warning if you don't integrate it, and then moving forward. How do you move forward?
Hmm.
So really, really nice guidebook and deck.
And
It
so I
makes
laughed because, as you said, because you said, when you want something that will bring you back from the abyss. So as soon as
yeah,
you said that, where does my brain go? Tarot of the Abyss, which is a deck that I pulled out too. But um, yeah, so it was just funny because it was like, was that a signal for me to pull out Tarot of Abyss first? I was like, no, no, it's not. Just go with it. But no, so the for
yeah,
me, oh, are you done?
yeah. I think I can. There's yeah, but let's move on. But
Okay, okay. So for me, what came up was actually initially I had a few other decks that I wanted to talk about for this category, and that were coming up as like decks that, because I have, there's so many. Like I said, I already did a tag, which wasn't really a tag, shadow work, you say. So shadow work is like my forte. It's like it's totally my lane, right? And um so there was like a few decks that were coming up. Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle was one of them.
yes,
Um,
another one.
that came up. And then funny enough, because even as you talk about shadow work, and there's different layers to shadow work and different elements, right? And it's funny because when we first think about shadow work, we think about the darker aspects of self. But it's not always the darker aspects of self. It also is the aspects of self that we keep buried. So that doesn't mean that it's dark. It could be the elements of self that we have suppressed because of trauma. So right, so there's different layers, different elements where that's concerned. So when it comes to, like, for example, inner child healing, and really unpacking thing like mental health and these aspects of stuff, the one deck that really comes up for me that screams perfection where this is concerned, but also does not appear to be a shadow work kind of deck, because it is more of a sort of light and airy, and that is the Wisdom of Pooh tarot, which I
Mm.
did which I did bring out. But I wanted to show this real quick just because it just came in. And as we were talking about, as we talk about community, we talk about the tariffs and things like that have been going on, and about the artists that even are, all around, that are affected by these things. And one of them that's also very near in and dear to me is the creator, from Ruin Vervain and Serafina. And so because of what has been going on, they had on Instagram, July, I think it was July 28th, or July, no, wait, we're in July, June, that's what I meant to say. June 28th or 29th, also in the month of Pride Month. Um, they had they were campaigning to help raise money for their campaigns to cover the tariffs. Some other merchandise that they did for Wisdom of the Pooh. And so they were doing a giveaway, and they have some t-shirts and things like that were limited edition towards Pride and things like that they were doing. And so they had a giveaway that they were doing on Instagram, and one of the first ones was this beautiful tarot bag. So it had just came in this week, and I won it in their giveaway, and I was so excited because I was like, now I get to store all of my Ruin Vervain things in here. So I was like, my Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, which is I was gonna put in here. I have the Wisdom of Pooh, the little Pooh Bear, that's in here with my Tigger. And I'm not gonna pull out like Wisdom of Pooh because I have so many videos. You can totally see that for yourself, and to see why and why I very much am talking about their stuff and the Wisdom of Pooh and why it fits in this category. But the deck that I was really wanting to talk about that I came across, I was like, oh yeah. And that was the and this I was another one that I won in a giveaway a couple years back, I think. And it's the Your Wise Animal Body by what's her name again? It's the creator of the She-Wolf Tarot, Serpent Fire.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And so this one is the Wise Body. So it's an oracle deck for nerve system health in a time when you need it most. So it's supposed to be a deck that is very reflective when it comes to the vagus nerve and stuff like that. So it really gets into, you know, unpacking that. And especially for me, with someone whose nervous system is constant overdrive, and even with everything that I've gone through and it's sort of gotten stuck there, this is a deck that is very helpful and very reflective, where that is concerned, mainly in the guidebook, because this is what the deck looks like. Here are the backs, and then we have attend, we have ground, we have gut, we have core, and then of course it does hit onto the chakras. So it's a very chakra based deck that way too. Say, awaken. So you get it. But also in addition to that, it comes with a supportive prompt journal. But if you know me, and yes, it's still in the plastic, but that's just because that's me. And Your Wise Animal Body, it comes with a journal. Oh look, 22. That's a card from one of their astrology deck by the same creator. And so it's a very prompt-based, reflective reflections and stuff. How did I feel today overall? Your body landscape. So it's very in-depth that way. And that's why I picked this one for that. But I also want to quickly talk about the other deck that I feel is very, very attuned for this work. And this is the Dark Reflections Tarot by Lamucci Design. And here is, so this one's a very dark base deck, as you can see. That the Fool, Magician, the High Priestess, and this one comes with like a journal as well, so it's very, very much in depth, where about, you know, really getting to know the nitty-gritty of self and your shadows. So yeah, so I really like that. The Emperor. And I like the Hierophant in this one because the Hierophant And I don't recall if the Hierophant usually is blindfolded, but in this one it is.
I don't think I've maybe
Yeah. So,
seen
um,
Justice. Yeah.
say that again?
Maybe I've seen like Justice, but you know what I mean, like, but not.
Yeah, but not the Hierophant. Yeah, exactly. And then here we have the lovers. So yeah, and then here are the backs.
Mm.
So yeah, so a mix of indie and mass market, that kind of way, you know. So yeah, and so that's all the prompts that I had. I don't know if there was any other decks that you wanted to quickly mention, but yeah,
I think I
this
forgot to
was
mention one deck, but it's like Be with Your Body Tarot.
it's a which
Also
one?
Be with Your Body Tarot. I don't have it here. Oh God. But that deck is very somatic. We will mention that in the description. I'll share with you. But that deck is very healing. It can fit in multiple categories. It's very healing. It's very, again, shadow work because it points out to um, come back to yourself and where you're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I really want to again emphasize on this deck because I think this is a really good shadow deck for me.
It is. It is. It's a very, very, very great deck.
Yeah. So this deck can fit in so many categories because it's just because most of our issues are, I feel, are because of our stagnant emotions. And that can fit in many categories because then, you know, they might be, they
Yeah.
might limit you. They might, you know, it's just interesting. I think to spend more time um, investing in our emotional intelligence because that really helps us be a better person for ourselves and others. So
Yeah.
show up better. Because I shared this post today, and it was about emotional regulation and how that can solve a lot of issues that we face today. Um, and because most of the people are going through inner child issues, and of course, they're all emotional, and it's all childhood emotions. So I think,
Well, it was funny because something you said the other day, and it really stuck with me. And I can't remember, I think it was something you said in a video one time too. But it's so true and so fitting. And it was the fact that like you see when especially when it comes to childhood trauma, and we've had childhood trauma, um, who we were at that time and where our feelings were at the sort of development level that it was at that time when it goes into trauma response and then and it stays there, it sort of trumps the development of that particular emotion. And you know, when we have, and then as we grow and we get older and these emotions aren't dealt with and they're not, you know, and we haven't worked through these traumas, we end up sort of continuing that that emotional self is still the age that the trauma first occurred. So now any additional um sort of situations we find ourselves in, we have that unhealed trauma. It's usually that particular trumped emotion that will respond in that fight or flight or fawn or whatever mode of response, or reaction, if you will. Um, and then whether the situation warrants it or not, or not. So then we have all of these children essentially that grow up and develop and become adults like you and I, but those emotions never grew with that person because they stayed in that trauma response at the age that the trauma occurred. And that's the one thing that I've really learned when it comes to unpacking feelings, and and doing therapy and really getting in tune to understanding feelings. And so it goes back to what I was saying, that you said when you said it's like a bunch of children running around, because like even though in adult bodies, and so even on a regular basis when we interact with one another, right, when we find ourselves in relationships and relating with one another, friendships even, it doesn't matter the age that we are. We can be as young as 20 and as old as a crone, well into their 60s, and still operate from a mindset that is very childlike, because we haven't dealt with those emotions and the impact that that emotion sort of went through at that time. And so when you continue to bury it and you don't deal with it,
Right.
that trumps, and that emotion stays that age. So then you have people that are, and we wondering why relationships don't work, or things like that, because everybody's operating from a very sort of juvenile mindset. And it's not to
I'd
say
say
they themselves are juvenile. It's
I'd
not
say
that.
it's more of constipated emotions. Okay,
Well, yeah,
that's
I
what
mean
it is.
that's another
Um,
I mean that's another way to
it
put
is.
it.
It is because, and I'm saying that specifically so it hits it where it should, because just talking about it, and the problem is that at that age we were not able to handle those. I guess we didn't have enough co-regulation to handle that situation, which is why we are stuck there. But
not only
this
not
all
only that, sorry to cut you, but not only that, just adding to what you're saying, we're stuck there. But then imagine what we were also taught comes from other juvenile
initially,
people who, right, initially. So our,
well,
like our
yeah,
parents who
right,
didn't deal with their feelings, so their feelings are
right,
still juvenile, and now they're teaching us how to deal with their juvenile self, is teaching us how to deal with our juvenile feelings.
right.
So we're just again more generational children running around, but we're all adults in adult bodies for the
It's
majority.
Yeah, it's much more nuanced than this, because when we say shadow work and we use this term loosely, but it's much more than that. Um, there's conditioning. There is trauma, right? The childhood trauma, and then we are talking about ancestral stuff here too, because this is all ancestral
Yeah.
patterns that we
So
keep
there's different
holding
layers
on
to
to.
this.
They're
It's
just
not.
there, and there has to be a component. And I think when we just say, "Oh, deal with it," I think, to me that's a very like a masculine approach, because these parts need nurturing, because they're younger parts of us. So there has to be a conversation. You can't just tell them
Yeah.
to shut up, and because that's what happened, right? You can't do that. You have to have a conversation. It's much more than that, I think, and that's why I feel like inner child work goes in tandem with shadow work for me. And I have so many inner child decks. Um, I'm looking at that. I'm like, I miss that, but you know what I mean. There's just so many that beautiful
Yeah.
creators out there who have shared, um, their stuff. So just, but I think there has to be a relationship. If you can't just do it for a day and think everything is fine. No.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, but it's like as you said, you can't just tell them, like they're the younger parts of self. Would you tell well,
Well.
I
Yeah. Let's not
was
say
gonna
that.
say, would you tell a child to shut up? But let me tell you something. There are a lot of people that will tell children to shut up, okay?
Yes.
But I mean, ideally, does that really
Right.
work? or does that just create more trauma? Right, so that's why the whole idea of holding space and having love and patience and understanding is necessary, because in when it comes to raising children, ideally this is the kind of environment you want them to have, so that they do regulate, they do, all parts of them grow up at the same rate, they don't get stunted, right, like we did, for example. And so, and knowing that, and as we are doing the healing work, we have to remember we're reparenting ourselves, and as we're doing that, we have to be kind. You can't be talking and to yourself and be saying things like shut up. And I mean mind you, we do that. I do too sometimes, when my certain little parts of me annoy the heck out of me.
But let me add that trauma. I also want to add that trauma is inevitable. It is,
Yeah,
and that's how we grow. We don't grow. We don't grow if everything is okay. We just don't. And I have seen that
exactly.
people who don't go through issues or don't have problems look at their emotional maturity. You know what I mean? It's interesting that lotus comes to my mind, but lotus only grows in murky waters.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is. So
Mm-hmm.
we are not saying here that you can get rid of trauma, and that's no matter what, because you don't know what you're feeling. Even if your parents give you the best environment, what you are feeling, only you know that. You know what I mean?
It's
So
true.
it's like I have, and that's again stages. At some point, you have to release your parents from the responsibility. They did what they could, and it's not your responsibility to change them either. It's just being respectful of our unique journeys, even if we grew up in the same family, and it takes a lot of work to get there. But
Exactly.
you have to look where you are and go from there. But hopefully, these decks are great tools, right? That the ones that we shared today, to start the conversation, because you have to start somewhere.
Exactly. So, I loved it, and I hope that this was like, I really enjoyed doing this tag, and especially doing it with you. Just, and even, the conversations that come up. And yeah, because like I mean, yeah, there are lots of tags out there and stuff like that, and I see some really great ones, but you know, um
Yeah.
and not to negate anybody who creates tags, because it takes a creative process, but I feel like, you know there's so much more and so much depth that there is to things, and especially with tarot and oracle, and how impactful I feel diving into this aspect of stuff on my healing journey has been for me. And I know it has been, and I hear about it from others. I thought, why not a way to revisit some of these tags, and really sort of shake things up a bit, and really bring it into, bring it back to the idea of society, and sort of what we deal with on a regular basis, instead of running away from these aspects of issues. So I want to thank you so much for helping me and doing this with me today. And I hope that, you know this will inspire other people to really, will take the prompts and make it their own, and see how, um to see what other ideas and whether their decks and things like that come up. Because yeah, it was a crazy thing to try to keep it within that, but as we were looking through decks, other decks that were coming up, oh yeah, that deck, and oh yeah, deck,
And
and
every person, even if it's the same deck,
everybody
I
has
know
their own
people keep,
interpretation of it
yeah,
too.
I know people keep repeating that, oh, it's the same deck, but no, you're unique. So your
Yeah,
relationship with
exactly.
the same deck will be pertaining to yourself. So we would love to see how you use your decks and how you use
Yeah.
them.
And not only
It's
that, but like, because
yeah.
like we said, some of these decks can fit into various categories. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even if like it's the
Make
same
it work.
deck, but you put it in a different category
Yeah.
and you're explaining why and it makes sense to you, great.
Right.
Let's hear it and share it. And of course, I'll have all the links down below. I'll also have the tag, which again is a tarot revolution, um hashtag a tarot revolution. Yeah, and just let's see where it goes from there. But thank you everyone for joining me today on my channel. Thank you so much to Ravneet, who looks absolutely beautiful, whose mom did a fabulous job in dressing her today to come onto my channel with me just in my regular old t-shirt. I'm just like, ah, I'm just here, you know, whatever. So you look absolutely stunning. You look like you belong on a tarot card, honestly. Yeah.
I well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure and a lot of fun. This is fun. It just gives us a time. I think tags, for personally for me, helps me be more present with my decks and really reflect on. It's just a lot of fun and a good reflective exercise too. And appreciate these tools more and the creators who put so much effort into making them. It's right. And this deck comes to my mind when I'm doing all of this. It's like colorful and
Yeah,
all of
I was
that.
just about to say that. I was just about to say, I feel like you belong in the Tarot of Hearts deck. Like you just want to take a picture and stick you there as a card, additional card. Yeah, and you know what? And we'll call that card love, because my channel is all about love. And as I say, I am love. And so as I see myself as love, I see you as love too. And you know, as I am human, so are you. So I hope that with all of this today, that you and everyone will remember to take care of yourself and one another. And while you're at it, please don't forget about me too. Please like, share, and subscribe to both of our channels. And thank you so, so much. And until next time, please, please remember to always check your privilege, mind your magic, and as always, live, listen, and learn. I love you so, so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Love you.